You wake up exhausted. Your alarm blares, but your physical body refuses to move. Throughout the day, every digital distraction pulls you under. You crave junk food, you doom scroll for hours, and your focus shatters at the slightest friction. You feel like a passenger in your own life, trapped in a vehicle you cannot steer. Why does your biology constantly betray your goals? Are you the master or the slave? Imagine your life as a vast, incredibly intricate maze. The walls are built of notifications, constant advertisements, ultra-processed sugars, and the endless pursuit of fleeting physical comfort. Every time you try to find your true north, your deeper purpose, your long-term goals, your quiet focus, the maze shifts. A new desire arises. A new craving takes hold. You are wandering through the labyrinth of your own sensory inputs, constantly reacting to the demands of the flesh rather than the commands of the mind. We live in an era of unprecedented comfort, yet we are plagued by unprecedented anxiety. Why? Because we have outsourced our agency to our biology. Our ancestors used their physical bodies as tools to navigate a hostile world, forging paths through harsh winters and untamed landscapes. Today, our bodies are no longer tools for survival. They have become tyrants of our attention. When you feel a slight pang of hunger, your body commands you to eat something immediate and deeply unsatisfying. When you feel a momentary lull in stimulation, your brain demands the digital slot machine of your smartphone. You have slowly, almost imperceptibly, surrendered the throne of your consciousness to the whims of your nervous system. To understand this dynamic, we must look backward to move forward. We must look to a time when humanity recognized this exact struggle and developed a rigorous, highly practical system to conquer it. We must look to the ancient world, specifically to the era when the Hellenistic period transitioned into the vast, sweeping influence of the Roman Empire. During this time, classical thinkers realized something profound. The study of sciences did not bring happiness to the human being, and the path sought from this moment on was a moral philosophy. They realized that knowing how the stars moved, or how geometry worked, was meaningless if a person could not govern their own temper, their own fears, or their own bodily appetites. Thus, ethics, or the art of living, came to expand the paths of religion and politics. This was not abstract theory. It was survival gear for the soul. The Stoics recognized that the human being is a dual entity. We are an animal bound to the earth, yet we possess a spark of the divine, a capacity for reason that can elevate us above the dirt. When you allow your body to dictate your actions, you are silencing that spark. You are choosing the animal over the divine. As we often explore a new Acropolis, the real battle is internal. It is the daily, grinding effort to assert the dominance of your will over the gravity of your basic instincts. To cure a disease, you must first diagnose it accurately. The Stoics diagnosed the human condition with brutal clarity. They observed that humans are perpetually tossed back and forth by what they called passions. Today, we might romanticize the word passion, equating it with enthusiasm or romantic love. But to the Stoic mind, a passion was a deeply negative force. It was an overwhelming emotional or physical urge that bypassed reason. It was that which makes the soul suffer. The Stoics argued that the human being overcomes their own passions to the extent that they know them. Ignorance is the breeding ground of slavery. What men consider as evil is nothing more than a lack of knowledge, which provokes, as a reaction, the right knowledge, even if it is through pain. Think about the last time you gave in to a terrible habit, perhaps binge eating or losing your temper. In that exact moment, your perception was narrowed. You lacked the comprehensive knowledge of who you want to be and the long-term consequences of your actions. You believed, falsely, that the immediate physical relief was the highest good. That ignorance is the evil the Stoics spoke of. It is the darkness that allows the body to stage a coup against the mind. In contrast to this chaotic state of constant desire and aversion, the Stoics posited an ideal state of being, ataraxia, often misunderstood in the modern world as a state of numb, emotionless apathy. True ataraxia is quite the opposite. The highly mentioned ataraxia of the Stoics should not be interpreted as an unproductive stillness, but rather as the peace that comes from virtue and inner harmony. It is the profound tranquility of a captain who knows his ship is sturdy, his compass is true, and his hands are firmly on the wheel, regardless of the storm raging outside. How does one achieve this state? Stoicism attempts to substitute passions, or what makes the soul suffer, with intelligent and active contemplation. Instead of reacting blindly to a bodily urge, you observe it. You look at the craving for unhealthy food, or the urge to skip a workout, and you apply intelligent contemplation. You ask yourself, is this urge me, or is it just a transient biological signal? Will yielding to this make me stronger or weaker? By creating a wedge of awareness between the stimulus and your response, you begin to dismantle the tyrant's power. You stop being the reactive animal and become the proactive architect of your character. Furthermore, this individual struggle was deeply connected to a broader worldview. The Roman Stoics did not believe they were fighting this battle in isolation. Rome contributed the idea of citizens of the world, meaning a humanity united by its very nature. This union could not be affected by the fact that some called the divinity by one name and others by another, or because they had different skin tones. When you master your body, you are not just improving your own life. You are participating in a grand universal effort of human elevation. You are taking your rightful place as a rational citizen of a rational cosmos. Let us explore a concept that sounds paradoxical to the modern ear: finding freedom through accepting necessity. Today, we define freedom as the ability to do whatever we want, whenever we want, with whoever we want. We equate freedom with infinite choices and zero constraints. Yet, look around. Has this infinite buffet of choices made us free? Or has it paralyzed us, leaving us anxious, addicted, and exhausted? The Stoic view of freedom is radically different and infinitely more robust. For the Stoic, freedom is being able to harmonize human will with divine necessity. Let that sink in. It is not about escaping reality, it is about perfectly aligning yourself with it. He is free who freely obeys what necessarily happens. Your body is a realm of necessity. It requires sleep, it gets sick, it ages. It experiences pain and fatigue. If you base your happiness on your body always feeling perfectly comfortable, you are guaranteed a life of misery and subjugation. You will be a slave to the thermostat, to the quality of your mattress, to the exact macronutrient ratio of your lunch. But if you accept the necessities of the physical world, if you embrace them, you suddenly unlock an impenetrable inner fortress. The Stoics recognized that in everything that happens, one can observe the play of a pair of forces, necessity and finality. There is a law that makes the facts of our existence necessary, and a finality that makes them at the same time useful and meaningful. When your body experiences pain during a difficult workout, or the sharp sting of hunger during a fast, the modern reflex is to view this as a purely negative experience to be avoided. The Stoic, however, sees the finality. The finality is in God, in coming to resemble Him as much as possible, taking nature as an example in its intelligent capacity for action. The friction is necessary to carve the marble of your character. Consider the profound wisdom of Epictetus, a man who literally lived as a physical slave before becoming one of history's greatest philosophers. He taught, "Do not ask that things happen as you wish, but rather wish that they be as they are, and you will prosper." This is the ultimate tool for bodily mastery. When you feel a craving, do not wish it away. Accept that it is happening. Observe it as a natural biological function, but do not grant it the authority to move your limbs. When you are tired but have work to do not wish for magical energy. Wish that things be exactly as they are. You are tired, the work is hard, and you will do it anyway. This radical acceptance neutralizes the psychological suffering that usually accompanies physical discomfort. As we discuss frequently in New Acropolis, philosophy is not merely a set of intellectual propositions to be memorized for a test. It is a vital, breathing practice. It is the art of fixing the broken ceramics of our psyche with the gold of awareness. The wise, harmonized, free human being, in a word, the virtuous person, is also a happy person. This happiness is not the fleeting high of a sugar rush or a social media like. Once again, we see how happiness is intimately related to the practice of virtue and the awareness of duty. How then do we practically build this internal citadel? How do we transition from theory to the grit of daily execution? The Stoics mapped the universe as a singular, living entity. For the ancient Stoics, the universe was an infinite, living, and unitary matter, from which all beings could emerge in their multiplicity. The first fire, or the spirit, is in all beings. To master your body is to recognize this first fire within yourself, and ensure it dictates the actions of the denser, physical matter you inhabit. The first practical step is to audit your environment and your inputs. You cannot expect to win a war of willpower if you are constantly surrounded by triggers designed to exploit your biology. The Stoics repeatedly proposed that the main school of harmonization is in nature, so that the rhythm of nature can also come to manifest itself in humanity. Step away from the hyper-stimulating, artificial environments that hijack your dopamine. Spend time in natural rhythms. Reconnect with the physical world not as a consumer of comforts, but as a participant in its grand cycles. Vice, in this sense, is reduced to the incoherence of the human being in relation to nature. The second step is voluntary discomfort. If you want to stop being a slave to your body, you must occasionally prove to it who is in charge. Skip a meal, take a cold shower, walk instead of driving. These are not acts of self-punishment. They are acts of psychological liberation. By voluntarily enduring minor physical hardships, you break the subconscious programming that equates discomfort with danger. You teach your nervous system that you can survive, and even thrive, when the body's demands are ignored. You remind the animal that the mind holds the leash. Finally, shift your perspective on what constitutes a good day. A good day is no longer a day where everything feels physically pleasant. All of Stoic doctrine summarizes a sense of conscious and serenely happy activity, where duty does not have the bitterness of endlessly chewed ideas, but the joy of action beyond rewards. When you act out of duty, when you fulfill your obligations to yourself and your community despite the lethargy of your body, you tap into a profound wellspring of joy. It is the joy of true agency. We are not merely our appetites, we are the architects of our own character. The Roman Stoics understood that the universe operates in vast cycles. Life is an eternal cycle that repeats rhythmically on its evolutionary path, where each cycle has a greater nuance of purification than the last. You have the opportunity, every single day, to initiate a cycle of purification within yourself. You can choose to let the first fire burn away the dross of your impulsivity. The journey from slave to master is not an event, it is a process. It requires vigilance, a willingness to look foolish to a society obsessed with comfort, and a relentless commitment to your own higher nature. But the reward is the only thing truly worth having, your own self. When the body becomes a loyal servant rather than a cruel master, you finally clear the noise. You finally gain the quiet, powerful capacity to direct your life toward that which truly matters. To truly master your body, you must move beyond watching videos and start living these principles daily. This is the timeless approach of New Acropolis. Philosophy must be a living, breathing practice. We believe that true freedom is built through action, community, and discipline. If you are ready to stop being a passenger in your own life, join us. New Acropolis has dozens of physical schools spread across the country, right here in the United States, for those who want to practice this philosophy in real life, alongside like-minded individuals. Step out of the digital noise and into a real community of modern philosophers. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel for more practical wisdom, and check the links in the description below to find a New Acropolis school.